Yikes. That was rough. That was rough to watch almost pretty much the entire way throughout, honestly. Like it just kind of snowballed. Frankly, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. But even with all that negativity, there are a few bright sides. Number one, this is only game one. They have to win 3 more games. We have to win 4. It's fine, okay? It is fine. It is just the first game. Granted, it would have been nice to get a win here at home. What that means is, well, how my dad was putting it was basically we split this series here at home in the first 2 games. Then we split the series at St. Louis in games 3 and 4. We win 1, they win 1. Then you come back and then it becomes a 3-game series because technically you're tied. Which we could do that, or we could just win the next 5 straight, or next 4 straight. That'd be nice. Because this one, hopefully this one was a wake-up call or a reality check to say, hey, this is the playoffs. This is what happens. So this just was rough to look at. But I was feeling pretty good, and a lot of people, including me, were thinking, this is going to be a fun, exciting series to watch. This is going to be something that's close, down to the wire, going to be looking like that. And while the score obviously did not indicate that, it, for the most part, was. Like, even though the score was starting to be 2-0, 3-0, this game had the chance of turning just like that. A few pucks get past somebody else or a couple bounces go Minnesota's way. All of a sudden, this game changes. And I'm willing to bet as soon as Minnesota would have gotten 1 goal, that tide would have turned. Literally. Because they never managed to get anything. Minnesota never managed to really generate anything offensively. And it's weird because they beat them in shots, 37-31. But I didn't take notes on this game like I usually do because I wanted to watch it with my family. So I didn't want to be that weird guy in the corner scribbling down notes being like, oh, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Like, I didn't want to do that. So I'm looking on NHL.com and just basing my notes off of this and just trying to go through the entire game. And this game had a lot of penalties. And that's been a theme throughout these playoffs so far from what I saw. This not only did this happen in this game, in the Toronto Tampa Bay game, there were a lot of penalties. A lot of penalties. So we could take pride in knowing that we weren't the only ones that got embarrassed tonight because Tampa got embarrassed even worse. They had a 5-man advantage and they got outchanced multiple times. They had can't even speak. They had a shorthanded goal against them and they didn't do anything on their 5-minute advantage. So there was somebody worse tonight. It may have looked bad for Minnesota, but there was somebody in the NHL who was worse than us tonight. So we can take a little bit of pride in that. But we start off in this game, which is, it's Fleury versus Husso. We kind of expected Ville Husso to be in net for the Blues, but I wasn't really sure who they'd pick for Minnesota to start in game 1. I was leaning a little bit more towards Talbot because Fleury kind of looked shaky in his last few games, but they stuck with Fleury. So, it's Fleury versus Husso, and it seems like a pretty good matchup. Everything's kind of coming in pretty early. It looks pretty good for both those two. We start off, though, 2 minutes in, Nathan Walker gets a hooking penalty. So Minnesota's already on the power play early on. And they don't generate anything from it. It's not that the power play was bad, as in, like, they couldn't even enter the zone. It's just that it didn't score. And you want to score when you get those chances. Then, 3:50 into the first period. By the way, I'm doing into the times here instead of at what time it was because that's what NHL posted on. So, 3:50 into the first period, Barbashev gets a penalty shot opportunity on Fleury. And literally, it was kind of weird that they hadn't awarded penalty shots for other instances. Like, there were a few instances in other games that I saw where, yeah, there definitely should have been a penalty shot there. But this one, they award Barbashev penalty shot, and Fleury makes a nice save. So already I'm thinking, all right, well, Fleury's into it. It's good. We're doing good. Then at 4:17, Jordan Greenway gets a roughing penalty. Now, it doesn't really make sense to me why, if there's a massive scrum of guys, you only pick one. I never understood that rule, and they pick Jordan Greenway out of it. So St. Louis gets their first power play. And if you watched my playoff preview, you knew that the big advantage St. Louis had was in special teams. Their special teams were much better than ours were, and that has never been more indicative than it has been tonight. Oh my God. And St. Louis ends up scoring on this power play. David Perron gets his first of the playoffs, 6:15 into the first period, assisted by O'Reilly and Krug. And Fleury ends up saving the initial shot, and then David Perron buries the rebound with only 2 seconds left in the power play. So the kill was looking pretty good for the most part until the very end. Then at 7:30 stick, Robert Bortuzzo gets a holding the stick penalty. Minnesota got a chance back again on the power play, and they can't convert. Don't worry, there's still more chances. At 11:39 in, Perron gets a roughing penalty. Now is another chance for Minnesota to finally get one back, make it an even game, and they still can't do it. And then Ryan O'Reilly ends up getting a goal at 15:56 into the first period, assisted by Falk and Perron. And this goal was a defensive lapse, basically, because somehow Ryan O'Reilly is left wide open in front of Marc-Andre Fleury. Literally nobody within 5 feet of him. He's wide open, just whacking at Fleury's pads, trying to get anything to go in. And of course it goes in because he's whacking at it. It's going to go in. I look back at what happened. Apparently Kulikov somehow got stuck way up high in the zone, up where the forward should be. And Merrill was covered up with the backdoor guy. So Kulikov was not in his position whatsoever. And lo and behold, O'Reilly makes it a 2-0 game for St. Louis. So already it's not looking too good. And eventually, first period, the Wild are getting, once it starts to turn 5-on-5, Minnesota's starting to get chances, get better opportunities to actually score. They're close. And then the first period ends up ending, and both Fiala and Barbashev get roughing penalties, so it's 4-on-4 to start the second period. Okay, so second period ends up starting, and those penalties are killed off. Nothing ends up happening. And again, it's a lot of 5-on-5 play. Minnesota's starting to generate chances. For the first 8 minutes of the second period, they were starting to look a little better. They were starting to look a little more like the team that we had grown accustomed to this whole season. And then at 9:16, Colton Parayko gets an interference penalty and Tyson Jost gets a slashing penalty. Basically, Parayko did the interference penalty, so they called that. And then Jost just slashes him out of retaliation, therefore taking away any power play Minnesota would have had. We're back to 4-on-4. Then eventually those two are killed off. Then at 12:28, David Perron gets a holding the stick penalty. And this one was just weird because Fiala, literally David Perron took the stick with him as he went off to change and just threw it under the door of the bench. Literally, people I was looking over and what is Fiala doing with the open door in St. Louis's bench? Then we look at the replay. The stick is underneath the door and the door is open, so he can't actually pick up his stick. So now Minnesota again gets another power play. And again, they still cannot convert. And it's not like these chances are bad. They're actually getting good opportunities, good chances. But a couple things. One, block shots are not good. St. Louis had 17 block shots in this game. Minnesota only blocked 6 shots. So that's a pretty drastic change. And it's just nothing is managing to get past Husso. I was originally thinking that Husso was getting lucky, but no, Husso played good. He played good. And frankly, you can't really blame Fleury either for what he was doing in this game, because it's not his fault that Kulikov loses his guy and it's a rebound chance immediately afterwards. Fleury's trying his best. You say control the rebounds. You can't really do that when the puck is fired at your pads, like leg pads. You got to kick it out. And so he tries to kick it out, but it kicks out right to one of their guys. And so Fleury wasn't bad in this game, but it just would have helped if Minnesota helped them out. Then people wouldn't point the finger at Fleury, because I know a lot of Wild fans are like, throw Talbot in there. Talbot, the same thing would have happened with Talbot. I guarantee it. The same result would have happened if Talbot or Fleury's in there. Goaltending was not the issue for Minnesota whatsoever. Then at 15:39, Greenway gets a cross-checking penalty, and St. Louis once again converts. who would have guessed? David Perron gets another power play goal, his second of the playoffs. 16:30 into the second period, assisted by Schenn and Krug. Fleury saves the initial shot, and Perron buries the rebound again. It's the exact same play as the first goal. Then at 19:32, Justin Falk gets a roughing penalty. Minnesota now has its 5th power play of the game, and it will continue into the third period. They get a very close chance right near the end of the second period, doesn't go, and then the power play is eventually killed off in the third. And then once the third period continues, it's 8 minutes before Minnesota gets another power play. And for those 8 minutes, Minnesota was iffy. I mean, they're down 3-0, and they kind of seemed like they checked out almost. It wasn't. The effort just wasn't there early on in the third. The urgency wasn't there. They just didn't really want to win this game, at least not in the third. But once again, at 8:04, Robert Thomas gets a hooking penalty. Minnesota gets its 6th power play of the game. The 6th one. And once again, they can't get anything. And to add salt to the wound, Kevin Fiala gets a high sticking penalty. And it ends up being a double minor because Ryan O'Reilly managed to sell this penalty pretty hard to the refs. I honestly don't get it, because if you look back at this double minor, it literally misses his head and just lifts his bucket off. That's all it does. It doesn't even touch his skin whatsoever. It literally takes the bucket and just lifts it a little bit. And O'Reilly, oh my God, like he was shot. Literally, just like he was shot, and it's a double minor? Oh, my God. I mean, yeah, it definitely sucks. It definitely sucks when that happens. And who would have guessed? At 12:34, just as the penalty expires, just as that double minor expires, David Perron gets a hat trick. Assisted by Krug, his 3rd of the game, and Saad, his 1st of the game. And he scored it the exact same way. The exact same way. All three of those goals were scored the exact same way. Literally a shot off of Fleury's pad that the rebound bounces right to David Perron, and he buries it into an empty net. Oh, man. Jesus. My God, it sucks. It sucks when stuff like that happens. And then at 15:25, when Foligno, I guess, finally decided to show up, he ends up getting into a scrum with a good chunk of Blues players that results in 2 roughing calls for Foligno, as well as a game misconduct. And, I don't even know his first name, Mikkola from the Blues ends up getting a roughing call in retaliation with Foligno. So basically, that ends up being a St. Louis power play. But of course, they don't score this time because they're up by 4. Why would they need? They're up by 4. Why would they need to score? And then to add even more salt in the wound, to add even more insults on top of an already gruesome injury, at 18:14. There's a cross-checking penalty where one of the Wild players manages to, or basically out of frustration, is laying on top of Pavel Buchnevich and drives his stick into his ankle. Literally as if intent to injure. Like that's not a defensible act whatsoever. And the Department of Player Safety is going to look at it. But guess who the player who did it was? Jared Spurgeon. The least likely guy I would have ever expected to do something like that. The guy that I thought was the most level-headed of any Wild player out there. No offense to like Greenway or Foligno or Delorier, but those are the type of guys you'd expect to pull something like this. I don't even think they would, but like if there was a mild chance that you'd think, okay, one of these guys would do it, it'd probably be one of them. But no, Jared Spurgeon ends up doing it. And when he's doing that, you know that frustration is leading all throughout that entire locker room. It is rough. But, oh my God. Again, it is rough. So eventually the game fizzles out like that. We will wait to hear from the Department of Player Safety on how many games Spurgeon's going to get, because I guarantee it's going to be at least one. That's intent to injure. How do you defend that? If he comes out with just a fine, I will be surprised. And I will possibly think the NHL's corrupt because as much as, out of all the guys, you'd expect Jared Spurgeon is the one that pulls that. It just goes to show how frustrating this game was for Minnesota because they were still in this even going through all these negative notes. There was still fighting. There was still a close chance. Boldy was looking good throughout this. He had some nice plays. Jost had some nice plays. Eriksson Ek had a few good chances. Fiala still tried his hardest. Zuccarello was getting some opportunities. It sucks. It sucks when bounces like that go their way and nothing manages to go right. But like I said, this is only one game. This is just game one. And luckily, I don't think it can get worse than this. This seems like the worst case scenario for game one. To be shut out at home and give one of their players a hat trick. And to get shut out at home in game one. I don't think it can get worse than that. Okay? I really don't think it can get worse than that. So, and literally, I'm getting the notification from ESPN right now. They're going to review the Jared Spurgeon cross-check. He's getting at least a game. Possibly, probably more, if I'm going to be honest. I think 2 games is what they give him, but I honestly don't know. He's getting at least 1, and if he's not, then that reflects on the Department of Player Safety because that's kind of their job to look after that. But when Jared Spurgeon is the guy that is cross-checking people in a dirty fashion, you know that team is incredibly frustrated. But Evason's got to remind him, it's just game one, okay? We know that is the worst performance we can do. It only goes up from here, okay? Game 2, we have to win. Well, it's not really a must-win, but it would be really nice to go back at least even to St. Louis, okay? Because we can definitely steal one in their building like they stole one here, okay? But the bottom line is, like I said, 1, it's still a long series. 2, Ville Husso can be like Jake Allen in 2017, okay? He can steal the series. That is a legit possibility that could happen. He is playing good right now. He's not immortal. We can still beat him, but he is a good goaltender. And all you got to do is these 2 things. If you do these 2 things, Minnesota, if you do these two, then you should be fine. Eventually, momentum will start to shift back your way because it's natural that happens. The hockey gods will realize, okay, they're doing these 2 things. Let's give them some good karma. Let's give them some momentum. Let's give them something that will help out. And those 2 things are pretty simple. Number 1, stay out of the box, especially against the best special teams team in the league, I guess. I know they're not the best at those categories, but they're arguably the best combined special teams. Like the best power play and a really good penalty kill. A power play goal against them would be good, obviously, but don't get in the box. There's no reason to do that. A lot of these calls were just dumb stuff that didn't need to happen. Like Greenway's roughing penalty, and again, it was the first game into the playoffs. Okay, it's the opening game of the playoffs. Everybody's going adrenaline 110%. Everybody's just flying off of instinct. But now you've cooled down. You know what's happening, okay? You just played a playoff game. Now you know what to expect, okay? So, take a deep breath. Play your game. Play 5-on-5 because you are better than St. Louis 5-on-5. St. Louis is going to keep talking and cheap shotting just to make sure that they get you into the box. They're going to keep doing that because that's how they play. That's how they win. If you don't give them those opportunities, they can't play their game. So you play your game to make sure that they don't play their game. That's basically what it is. So stay out of the box. And number 2, shoot. Shoot on net. Just keep shooting. And I know that is odd to say it from a team that had 37 shots and outshot the other team. I was baffled by that stat because there were moments in this game where, frankly, we should have outshot them more. Obviously, 17 shots were blocked, so a couple of those could have put that shot total up to 40, and there were other moments where we overpassed. Like I have said about this team all year, they try to do the fancy stuff, and there's no point, especially not in the playoffs. Greasy goals are where it's at. Literally. Oh, I bit my tongue. But literally, greasy goals are beautiful in the playoffs because any goal in the playoffs is beautiful because it's a smaller sample size, okay? And that goal means so much more than it does in the regular season. These don't have to be pretty goals. None of them have to be goals. They just have to end up in the back of the net. That is all we expect. We don't care if it's a highlight reel goal. We don't care if it's like a Connor McDavid type of thing. We just want him in the back of the net. And this team can do that. This team has a lot of offense. It just needs to wake up. It just needs to shoot. And so I'm really hoping that Evason, when he gets the chance, I don't know if he'll probably make him practice, honestly, but if he gets the chance, just make sure that they shoot, and work on special teams. Stay out of the box and shoot. If you do those two things, good karma will come your way. But again, it's only game one, so there's no reason to feel flustered or terrified, Wild fans. There's no reason to throw in the towel just yet. Okay, it's only one game. St. Louis can tilt their heads high and do all that because I guarantee they're not going to have this good of a performance the rest of the series. There's no way. There's no way they have a performance this good the rest of the series. Okay, this dominant. I doubt it. No way. So we are fine. Take a deep breath. We are fine. See? It's not that hard. Sure, it sucks to lose game one, but it's a 7-game series. We could win the next 4. And then this becomes an afterthought. It can happen. It's the playoffs. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you want to see more videos that I've got of the regular season where my reactions are a lot more reactive. A lot more reactive than they have been in this game. But don't worry. The better reactions will come back. We'll start winning these games soon. And I'm going to keep following the Wild because I'm almost done with finals. I have one more final tomorrow, and then I am done, and I can focus on this and making better videos for you guys, possibly newer stuff. I don't know, maybe some top 10s, maybe some deep dives into history. I got a lot of ideas around here, and eventually I'll put them into video format, and hopefully with some editing. Yeah, editing, that great thing that makes videos snap from place to place, Can't wait for that. But as always, I will talk to you all later. Peace.